Thanks so much for joining to discuss a little bit about our summit so far. So, regarding the first 4 sessions, this will be just a little bit of like behind the scenes and like what I was thinking when I was working with the speakers, what they were sharing with me. So, just to add a little bit more context to what we were able to cover during the interview times, and uh, there's like different amount of time that each of the speakers spent with us. So I know there were some questions I was getting about that as well. So I figured let me actually kind of run through each of the sessions. Um, a little bit about like there was an order to the madness. There was a order to the madness of like how they were laid out as well. So I don't think I've had a chance to really explain that during this summit so far. So I'm going to start with Dr. Pashby. So when I was first reaching out to speakers for the summit, Dr. Pashby is somebody that one of my clients actually introduced me to. And as soon as I like did one Google search on her and found like her YouTube video that she references during the talk as well, I was like, we need her. Like she has to be the first presentation that we all get, because personally what I live by through my GLP-1 journey is that our mindset and our mental health are like the foundation of everything else, but it's the thing that we don't often seek. So I knew if I was creating a summit experience, if I had the opportunity to organize it in a way that would allow us to get all the things that we need, that we don't know we need, and that we need and we know we need. So just like a nice combination of it. So Dr. Pashby is very like well known through the obesity community, like the obesity care community. And she specifically has this powerful way of helping us unload the stigma of weight bias and internalized weight bias. Like her video itself, if you haven't seen it, I would highly encourage that. Be something that you snag the link and watch, because I just think that no matter where you are in the journey, a lot of us don't always do that work of accepting how hard it has been and like what it means to let go of some of this bias. So, when we had talked, there were so many different things that she wanted to share with us, because she has so much, like she's so passionate about us in the GLP-1 community. But we had a back and forth about like the amount of time we would get to chat. And something that I repeatedly spoke with all the speakers about is I wanted something that wasn't like you'd find on like a YouTube video, even like something that has us the opportunity to go deeper. And so the more topics we covered, the less depth we could get. And she had, I think, about like 5 really amazing topics that she wanted to share. And I went through and I'm like, what are the topics that exist somewhere in a powerful resource already? It wouldn't be comparable to what she could share, but still in a strong resource, versus like, what do we really, like, what do we need this is going to be my opportunity to get it for us. So we ended up narrowing it down to 3 out of her 5. But I think she still was able to find a really good way to include a lot. The other people too that she was able to incorporate in different ways, but allow us to stay focused on those 3 topics. And she was really creative with how she came up with how to organize our topics that we discussed as well, from going from our thoughts about this journey, about the weight loss journey itself, our feelings, and then like tying it into our behavior and sharing from her expertise about like how we typically try to solve something at the behavioral level instead of starting at the thought level, which is where the change really needs to happen. So chatting with her was so much fun. I wish I could have just continued chatting with her, honestly, with all of our speakers, but they're busy people. So I'm grateful for all of that, all of what we were able to, you know, work through together. And yeah, I'm really interested to see what type of feedback. We've already been getting some really great feedback about what she shared, because so many of us have not explored that mental journey through our weight loss, and this is the opportunity to actually do that, or at least have those questions come up. Yeah, so that was what I wanted to share about Dr. Pashby, and I had her for day one because, like I said, that I feel like that's a foundational topic that needs to be covered. Once you have that, a lot of other things become easier. A lot of things that we stress about become easier. And then specifically, my big takeaway for myself, and as a reminder to all of us watching, is we might want to change our behavior, but we need to notice our feelings and thoughts that are associated with it as well in order to actually get through the change. So I hope it encourages us to explore a little bit more about the things that come up. And she has really great ways of capturing that, like tabloid thoughts. That's one of the 3 points that she shared that really is has helped me remember that a lot easier. Um, and yeah, that's Dr. Pashby is amazing. And next up is me. So I was originally slotted for the day one as well, but due to some technical difficulties, I could not present on day one as planned. So it ended up being day 5. But during the group of 4, during the recap session, I do want to include my part in this session because it was meant to be in this session. And again, there was a reason for the order of all of these topics. So I have been, without going back into what I shared during the session, I had been really, I'd known I'd wanted to talk about this topic for a long time. I know that when I first shared this like epiphany I had about a pattern that was playing out within our journey, that it was like, it shocked me that I could, like, there was something so obvious when you looked at it from far away, but it wasn't obvious to me ahead of time. So I really appreciated being able to like understanding that gave me a lot of perspective for my own journey. And then it also allowed me to I shared it in a post, and it was right off of me trying to understand my own stalls in my own journey. And when I shared that, I went ahead and I just kind of like posted it on the internet. It was I think it was like a Friday night or something, and I disappeared because I had dinner time with the kids, and there was a lot of things going on. I came back and I had no idea what I was gonna like come back to in terms of the response. And that one post that I put up about the shot stages is really made became a huge conversation point for a lot of people. And hang tight, I'm just gonna let somebody in and see if I can change my setting now. Okay. So I think I have the setting now that it spotlights me. And thank you for the others that have joined. I'm doing a recap of my thoughts. I just did Dr. Pashby, and I'm talking about my session that was meant to be day 1 and why. Yeah, so when I shared it on social media, it had a huge outpouring of response. And originally during my session, I meant to like show some screenshots of the responses, because there's also like a lot of other like leaders in the community, like a lot of people follow on social media, that reacted and responded to the shot stages, even though they had been like several years from getting to maintenance, and how it influenced like how they experience learning about it and from me. So I just didn't get a chance to like get their permission to share. But it is there. So there is my original post. If anyone's looking for it, let me know. I reposted it today. It is the same post. I just did some color changes. But it just allows, I think that it was important to do at the beginning. I know I didn't get to do it at the beginning of the summit, but the beginning of the replays, because it allows us to kind of self-identify if there's a stage that we feel relates to us. And then you're also getting some information about like what might be a valuable solution or a technique or um, a reframe that would help you through that stage. And when you use that to then go through the other sessions, you're actually able to pull out a lot of that, like um, tangible solutions to take care of yourself right now. So that's a little bit about my session. Next up, I have Dr. Simpson, who is such a treat. Now, I want to tell you 100% honestly, I messaged him as a YOLO. I'm just gonna try. There's no way he's even gonna notice my message. Like, what are the odds that he's gonna say yes to me? I'm just out of my mind here. And he responded back, and he was like, "Yeah, come in. I'm interested." I remember seeing his response, and my jaw just dropped, and I was like, "Wait, really? Like that is like so fortunate for us here." And for him specifically, again, I thought it was like a pipe dream, but the reason I wanted to reach out to him is he is um, a weight loss surgeon. So he has such a unique perspective that not only is he a weight loss surgeon who practiced surgery for, I don't know the number of years, but at least 20 years plus, and he himself struggled with obesity, and then started a Zepbound journey in like the last year, and has been experiencing what food noise really is. So it was such a pleasure getting to speak with him. If you don't know, that session, I completely was starstruck and so excited to speak with him. Actually, you can notice me being starstruck with like all the speakers, but I guess this one just had the biggest impact because I forgot to hit record. And when I first started, I remember saying like, "Is it recording?" And he was like, "Why are you asking me?" He didn't say that. He's the nicest guy in the world, but he's like, "Yeah, I think so." And I just carried on my way. We had an hour and a half long conversation. I asked all the speakers for like 30 minutes if they can offer that, but he just hung out and chatted with me for an hour and a half. And then at the very end, as I'm thanking him, I look to pause the recording, and notice I never hit record. And I start straight panicking. I mean, an hour and a half with a world renowned weight loss surgeon for this summit. I'm like, what am I going to do? Can I like AI artificially recreate this this whole session somehow with like my notes? And I'm like, what am I going to do at this point? I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think I could ask him for more time because again, I felt like he was already being so generous with his time to begin with and to support us in this summit. So he just smiled and he's like, "Let's go." It was We're not even during like working hours. Like it was probably like 7 o'clock his time or so, and it was maybe like 6 o'clock his time and around 9 o'clock my time. And he's like, "Let's just take it from the top." And I am so grateful for that because he still, you know, like inside the VIP, I still need to grab both transcripts and put them in there so people can get access to it all. But uh, he did not, in the second version that we did, you didn't lose anything. So from not, like, he worked really hard to make sure all the important points were still hit in the second round, which I truly appreciated. And I could tell that he put in a lot of time to make sure that there were certain topics that he covered with me in that interview. Um, and the topics that he covered, like, I don't even think he realized how shocking some of that was. Like, in the reaction thread, you can see some people being surprised by like what he shared about electrolytes and a lot of other fun pieces there. So he for day two, my thoughts on day two were we're going to get some strategies, some like actionable tips And so he did provide just nonstop information and directions I did not expect him to. Like, he had a whole thing about the different stages in life that we're in, like what advice he would give us. So if we are, um, still in the, I don't even know how he said it, but like in the younger baby, you're still maybe going to have children, childbearing age. Is that what we call it? Yeah. Uh, so he had some advice on that. He had advice for perimenopause or postmenopausal women, and then women over 65. And so he really was, I just could tell how intentional and compassionate he is with the amount of like time he put into covering all bases. um, so yeah, it was such a pleasure speaking with him and working with him on this. And I really appreciated the fact that he talks about, like, we had a bunch of back and forths that I don't think got like, it was brushed over a lot quicker when we did it as a rerun of it, like a replay of it. But um, our back and forth conversation about food noise and the, like, not enjoying food, we kind of had a really like in-depth conversation, fleshing that out a little bit on the first take, and it came down to like, and again, you didn't, all the high points were hit, all the important details were hit during our retake, but uh, I really appreciated like when we were kind of working through that together a little bit, where he was sharing how he's still enjoying food, and it kind of brought to mind for me, I myself am also enjoying food, and us kind of like working through the concept of, is it about the type of food people are still trying to enjoy, and that might be impacting their level of enjoyment. um, so like if you're still eating in a way that isn't as much whole foods, maybe you're just not feeling as much joy out of the food. But what I was sharing with him is that me adding like herbs to my food bring me like an actual sense of joy. And it's a really weird thing. I never experienced that before being on Zepbound, but it was almost like the idea of like adding some whole foods enhanced the experience for me. So that is my little spiel about Dr. Simpson. I want to get into and then I have Dr. Donahue. So I'm going to grab my notes on her. So Dr. Donahue actually works specifically with the women that tend to gravitate in my world as well. So I was like, okay, you are very specialized in supporting us in the first place. So yes, please. And her, while she covers a range of different support, what I found very unique and interesting when her and I had like a pre-interview call. First of all, people didn't need to do a pre-interview call, but we just wanted to kind of get to know each other. I didn't know her before the summit, and we were just like having such a fun dynamic conversation about perimenopause and GLP-1 and how it impacts our mental health if we're not recognizing that there's more factors at play than just GLP-1, like that we do have other diagnoses to uncover, other supportive medication to get added to the list, and uh, how some of the hormonal changes actually influence our um, our journey, right? And and she shared it really well during the interview, so I don't really need to recap too much about that. But I really appreciated what she shared, and again, that went into strategy because it is a very underrated aspect of our weight loss journey, but how our stress level is, how our like actual well-being is through the journey is going to directly impact your results on the scale, which I don't like to focus on, but it does matter. That is part of our health journey. And she has like a really wonderful framework that she uses to help remind women about all the different aspects that they do need to work on getting supported on. I think she calls it the best framework, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, it was really had a great time chatting with her. I could have talked with her forever as well. These speakers were such a pleasure to work with. And again, it's just like my overall opinion of like the first 4 sessions, and honestly, all of them, was when I started speaking with them, they were first in like a little bit of a default of how we talk on social media. And that's more along the lines of like convincing people that GLP-1 is good or not. It's not a moral failing to be on these medications. Like very much in the defense for using GLP-1 medication. And what I shared with them, I'm like, we don't need to do that here. This is not that space. We're not on social media. We can skip that part of the dialogue because we have the women here who are agreeing to the value of starting GLP-1. But we may need a little bit more information from there. And so all of our experts came in with that change up, and it was like very refreshing for them. Like I think that's why some of them really like opened up a little bit more in some concepts that maybe like we didn't hear about on social media or other platforms, because they didn't realize that maybe that we were interested, that there's so many of us that have additional education that we want to learn from them outside of the accepting the usage of GLP-1 medication. So it was a real joy to do that. Like I know specifically for Dr. Pashby, because she does a lot of advocacy for obesity, for the Obesity Coalition Association, I believe. I might be getting the words wrong, but and then Dr. Simpson, who has a massive following, and he does spend a lot of time trying to normalize the use of GLP-1 medication. So having this other side of the conversation, it was just a lot of fun, where we untangled a little bit more of the nuances that we experience. And that's why I feel like we got such high value advice and overall, I don't know, just a good dialogue, a good open dialogue, a lot of important takeaways. So I would say that if you have the time to enjoy these at your leisure, the order does matter because it will kind of set you up for perspective. And if you don't, it can be a tough call to like which way to go. But I think that like if you have time for one, I think honestly, Dr. Pashby would be the one that I'd say to you, like prioritize that and getting what advice she shares, because that is the hardest information to get unless you work with her or work with someone who's equally qualified in that way. So yeah, that's my spiel, my behind the scenes about what played out when I was having these conversations with these speakers and getting connected with them about these different topics. They each had very specific topics set aside that would show their expertise, but also give us some very high value information um, that wouldn't overlap with another topic. Like it was a really fun and intentional effort on everyone's part in order to do, and hopefully you experience that in that way as well. Um, yeah, so I think that's my full official spiel. If anyone has questions about a specific one of the first 4 sessions, uh, I invite you to like drop it in. If you are interested in coming off mute, you're welcome to. But yeah, I just wanted to leave a couple minutes in case there's anything that wanted to be shared. And if there isn't, would you do me a favor and drop in the number 2 in the chat for no. If you have something, you can drop in a 1 so I know to just be patient. Awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this. And I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the behind the scenes take. I will be back this evening at 9:30 Eastern time to share a little bit of the behind the scenes of the other 4. So hopefully I'll see some of you there. Bye.